Hi, I'm Elsa. I'm Aman's graphic design intern and also marketing, website design, content making, and a whole bunch of other things. And I wanted to make a little video talking about my experience working under a YouTuber and kind of share some pros and cons of what it's like working for Aman. And then hopefully at the end I can share some stories, and maybe by the end of this, if you're an aspiring graphic designer, you can have an inside look on what it's like to actually work for someone else in kind of the real world. Okay, so a question that I get a lot from people is, how did I even get this job? How did I end up working under a YouTuber?
A little about me. My name's Aman.
I'm a software engineer.
I'm a former software engineer and career coach. And on this channel, I help you make it as a computer science student and land your dream job in tech.
And when Aman and I started working together, he was only at like 23,000 subscribers. So how did that whole thing come up? He had sent out an email to the photography club at the university that I'm at. I kind of just saw it, and he had a Google form linked, and I filled out the form. He just wanted a photographer to take pictures for thumbnails, and I saw that I met a lot of the requirements. And then it was kind of a two-step process. He had a phone call with me where he told me later that I was super stiff and I did not sound enjoyable to work with at all, but he still wanted to give me the benefit of the doubt. The second part of that was that everyone who did apply had a one-on-one with Aman taking pictures with him, and I didn't know that that was the second step. I genuinely had thought when he said, "Oh, let's do a photo shoot," I thought I had been hired. So I was like, but I was not, and I found out like a year later. That was the case. So we met and I took some pictures at just a local, the Arboretum it's called, and I was hired from there. And one of the craziest things is that he actually said that he liked my pictures more than an applicant who worked with National Geographic. So he did say that I was not stiff in person and I was actually pretty funny and enjoyable, and that was kind of the selling point. Let's get to the pros and cons. I'm gonna tackle this from two sides too. So like from a graphic design side, and then kind of just from working with Aman, period. So the pros of this job: I work remote, I make my own hours. My hours are very flexible, so that means I can take breaks whenever I want, as long as I get my work done, and that it's good quality work. I kind of have the freedom to do whatever I want and take spontaneous breaks or weekends off, anything like that. I get paid well and I get to do something that I love, and so I'm really glad that I got hired when I was a sophomore in college. So I've had this time to really work on my creative skills, really understand graphic design, sharpen my Photoshop skills, and just do what I love. And I am very grateful because I do really love my work. That's kind of all for the pros. For now, on to the cons. Something that my mother taught me a very long time ago was that when you are working for someone else, you have to work with their demands. Now in graphic design, I knew I would be getting into that, because you work and you design for other people. But it just kind of shocked me that it would be different, working for someone who didn't really understand graphic design, So I think the first con is that what I like will not always be what Aman likes. And whatever is on the internet, that is what Aman likes. So the finished product that everyone sees, that may not have been my favorite. So that's kind of a downfall, is that, yes, I do have a somewhat equal voice in creating the thumbnails and creating the graphics, but at the end of the day, it is what Aman wants. And as much as that's just a fact of life, sometimes it can feel like a con because you're kind of getting told, oh, no, do this over again, no, do this over again. On that same note, and Aman has admitted this, I'm so sorry, he's a perfectionist. I appreciate this to a certain extent because I've tried to work for other people and they just don't know what they want, and things just kind of get derailed. But Aman knows what he wants. He's very good at communicating with me what he wants. We communicate via like Slack, we send looms to each other. We have really good communication, at least I think, for him telling me what he wants, and then I will execute that. But that can get a little stressful if I keep doing something wrong or something just doesn't look right and I'm ending up making hundreds of variations because I think there's probably a dozen thumbnails that I've done from over a dozen thumbnails that I've done for him that are on his YouTube channel. Well, I have done hundreds, if not thousands, of thumbnails for him behind the scenes because you submit every different little variation. And then lastly, kind of adding on to the just amount of variations is sometimes it's just a lot of work. And a lot of work is not bad, but they will be kind of unreasonable and long tasks. Like, there was one time that we needed a liftoff episode out the next day and someone had canceled on us to make the timestamps, which is when you're watching a video and you can kind of see the chapters and like choose which chapter. Someone has to manually go in there and set it. They canceled, so I stayed up for 2 hours until midnight, finishing that, past midnight even, just so that we could push this video out tomorrow. So it definitely takes a certain commitment and a certain drive and almost empathy to be like, I feel bad for you that this person quit, but yes, I would be able to do that. So those are my cons. And this kind of is broad for all graphic design as well. You are going to be working for someone else. You are going to be having to work with their demands. It's not like in college where you have a design, you think it looks great, you present it to your class, maybe your professor gives you some notes, maybe they give you some constructive feedback, maybe your peers pipe in. But when you're working under someone else, they're giving you that feedback and they want more. It's gonna keep going, you keep building. You have to redo that project multiple times until you get what they like. So you can see where there can be some frustration on that part as a creative. My third part, I wanted to talk about some stories that kind of highlight some of the pros and cons and shenanigans that have gone on in the Manazir team background. So I wanted to start this little section off by saying Aman's personality that he has for his YouTube channels is pretty different than what he is like in real life. But it's not one of those never meet your heroes. I actually think he's really funny. He's really genuine. He cares a lot about our team and the people who work for him. And you just don't see that too much in his videos. You see him being very serious.
In this video, I'm going to teach you how I master data structures and algorithms.
If you want a career, do this.
The only way you will have success.
If you want an internship, submit 1,000 applications now. That's not really what it's like working with him in person. He's a lot more funny. I think the best video is actually his apartment tour video, which I filmed. Unfortunately, I'm not a film major. I just take pictures. You'd think, oh, that's like the same thing. No, I don't know how to keep my hands steady. Are you kidding me?
You should be happy you stuck around to see this thing. This thing right here, no better way to say it, it shoots water up and washes you as you use the bathroom. And it's quite a satisfying experience.
Yeah, so that apartment video actually I feel like was a really good representation of what he's like behind the scenes. He's more authentic, more genuine, kind of that awkward funniness of like, oh, I eat like 5 pounds of blueberries.
Several pounds of blueberries.
He's like, what the heck? And that video also, when I showed up for that, I said, okay, Aman, where's the script? Let me see what we need to do. And he goes, oh, I have no script. And I was like, what do you mean? And he was like, I just thought we could just roll with it, just do it in one take. So we did that in 1.5 takes. We had to restart because he said something or something happened. I slipped up in the first one. We got like 2 minutes into it. We got 2 minutes into it and he said no. So we did that entire video in basically one take. I remember vividly one of the times being when we were first getting his newsletter, Thoughtful Thursdays, ready. I was formatting it for the first time, determining, the typography that we would be using, determining the spacing, all this stuff, the logos. And I had picked a typeface for the body that he didn't really like. So he said, hey, Elsa, Could you pick a more readable font? And then he sent a link to top 10 most readable fonts. 1, ouch, that kind of hurt a little, TBH. But 2, the font that I chose was number 3 on that list. So, anyways, my conclusion is that I really love my job and working remote is great. I definitely think the pros outweigh the cons, like by a long shot. Aman is a joy to work with. We are in the community or in his workspace, super encouraging, and it's a great atmosphere even though we're all remote. That takes a certain person. Like I said, I've worked under a couple other people, and Aman is just the type of person for me. You know what I mean? If you're gonna enjoy doing what you love, you have to enjoy the people that you work with, you know? And Aman just happens to be a person that I really enjoy working under. And I do not think that I would love graphic design still or much if I didn't have someone as great as Aman to work under. So yes, the conclusion is that I love my job. If you are interested in working in YouTube, I have no idea how to go about it because my story is so roundabout. Did not get hired to do YouTube at all. So unfortunately, that's the answer I have to give there. But it's been fun, and I think I want to stay in YouTube now. I want to continue climbing. I've made it clear with Aman I want to stay with him for the foreseeable future and beyond. But I've also told him that, hey, if Curtis Connor hits me up, I'm ditching yo. And we virtually shook on that being okay. So Curtis Connor, if you're watching this video, please hire me. Save me. No, I'm kidding. But for every 1 like will be 1 resume that I send to Curtis Connor's email. So hope you guys enjoyed. Hope that was a fun little insight. And Aman, thank you for being such a great boss. Congrats on 60K subs too. So one of the first things, but for every 1 comment about
For the whole shot, or do you want me to go back in the corner?
I'm just gonna get the. I think we should be done.
Okay.
Yeah.